Welcome to the Washington Redskins Memorial Podcast.
Wait. Okay, I guess we're changing it.
Untrue. This is Between the Cushions on Couch Football with your host, Ryan and Luke.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to our Thanksgiving special.
Yay! Turkey Day.
No, there's going to be a turkey gobble in there.
Oh, okay.
There will probably be a turkey gobble thrown at various periods throughout this episode. Sometimes you're going to be like, I'm not sure that actually fit, but we're going to roll with it. So, yes, we are heading into NFL Week 12. This is obviously Thanksgiving week. We've got 3 games going on Thanksgiving. Those are the games that we're going to be focusing on during the course of this podcast. We also have a video podcast coming out later this week where we discuss some news and some other stuff going on in the NFL. All right, let's check in on our news team.
News team, assemble!
Okay, Christian McCaffrey is doubtful versus Minnesota. You will have Mike Davis for the 100th time this year.
Nice.
Ryan is talking about trading me for Christian McCaffrey right now.
You don't have to air out, what I'm thinking about to everyone in the league, But, if McCaffrey's available, why not make a trade for him?
For those of you that are not in our league, which probably none of you listening are not in our league.
There's a couple. Cole and Cody listen to it.
They're in our league.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, I'm just for context, I am in dire need to make a playoff push, and McCaffrey is doubtful this week. It is week 13 bye, so it might be a little dicey. Okay, Chris Carson is likely playing in Monday Night Football against the Eagles this coming week.
It's about time. My goodness.
Ryan is excited.
Been on my bench for the last, 5 weeks. Had to play DJ Dallas.
What? But Ryan, why didn't you pick up Carlos Hyde?
I thought they were going to split the backfield a little bit more than they did.
17.5 points last week.
I didn't need him.
It was delightful. I picked up Chris Carson. Not Chris Carson. Carlos Hyde for context. Eagles are 8th against opposing fantasy running backs. Ryan, you feel comfortable starting him?
Oh, yeah. Fire him up. If he's starting, lock him in as a running back 1. Eagles have a bottom half of the NFL defense, so...
All right. J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram both tested positive for COVID-19. We'll get into this a little bit later because they are playing on Thanksgiving. And Gus Edwards might be a pretty solid pickup this week. So I think... You got any other news you want to throw into this?
Yeah, Adam Thielen tested positive for COVID, and then today tested negative. So he might actually play this week, or this coming weekend.
Would you say you're Thielen this?
Dude, I am feeling it big time.
All right, let's get into our Thanksgiving matchups. Thanksgiving matchups.
Dun, dun, dun.
We'll see if I can make that cool. 11:30 a.m. on Thursday, we've got the Texans at 3-7 playing at Lions, who are 4-6 actually. I thought they were 3-7 as well. Matt Stafford was a limited participant in Monday's practice. Obviously, they are practicing on Monday because they have a short week, a very short week, considering they are playing at 11:30 on Thursday. So, Ryan, who do you got winning this game? 3-7 Texans?
Neither team. Texans.
Really?
Yep, their offense is more explosive than the Lions, and the Lions are still missing Kenny Galladay, their best receiver, and
He is questionable, though.
he didn't practice Tuesday, and I know he practiced Monday, but still, it's not likely. So even though the Texans' defense isn't the best, I feel that Deshaun Watson is just going to throw the ball across the yard. So
Okay, really, I don't have that much on this game. I think it is probably the least exciting of the Thanksgiving matchups, which is weird because Washington's playing Dallas.
Well, Dallas is America's team, so.
Yeah, I would like to point out the Lions do play every Thanksgiving. Little known fact. Actually, it's fairly well known, but they do.
Never realized that.
Yeah, what is your score prediction?
Oh, for this.
Yeah, do you have a score prediction?
I
Three to three?
I have a score prediction.
6-3?
I'm gonna go 24-14. Texans over Lions.
24-14. I will say. I am also going to say 24, but I'm going to say 10 for the Lions. And I think Deshaun Watson will throw. I think he'll throw 2 touchdowns.
And run for the last one?
I think he could run for the last one. I think Duke Johnson could also find the end zone in David Johnson's absence. Do you have a time frame for David Johnson?
David Johnson, not playing this week, but we'll be back the week after. So.
All right.
Projected to be back.
All right. We'll take a look through the fantasy window for this game.
Fantasy window.
All right. So obviously you've got your must starts, which are Deshaun Watson, Will Fuller. Are there any must starts on the Detroit Lions?
On the Detroit Lions, if Swift plays, yes, must start. Marvin Jones Jr. would be the only other one I'd consider, and only as a flex option.
So not Hawkinson?
No, you got a good point. Hawkinson was their leading receiver last week.
I've been enjoying Hawkinson. I've owned him for about four
Probably
weeks.
play Hawkinson over Marvin Jones.
Okay. So fantasy window, we're going to point out a couple of players, which it's like, do you play them? Do you not play them? We're gonna ramble those off real quick. So Kenny Galladay is on there. He most likely is not playing, but he is questionable. So if he does play, are you willing to take him fresh out of an injury that's held him out for a couple weeks?
Oh, I'd play him.
You'd play him?
I'd play him over like a CeeDee Lamb type person.
I would play him as well. Marvin Jones?
Marvin Jones, only as a flex option.
Only as a flex.
And not the best flex option out there.
I drafted Marvin Jones as well, actually. I have since dropped him. But DeAndre Swift, you said if he is playing?
Oh yeah, you got to play him if he's playing. He's been lighting it up these past couple weeks, and looks like the Lions actually made a good decision when they drafted him.
Okay. It is interesting. Kerryon Johnson has just kind of disappeared from fantasy relevancy, which is odd because he was pretty good, but
yeah, I don't know. Got injured too much or too small or
something. He is not in the fantasy window, but that's mainly because I don't think he's questionable. I think that you shouldn't play him, and that's pretty much it. Adrian Peterson. We'll break this one into 2 categories. First category is if DeAndre Swift does not play. Would you play Adrian Peterson?
I do not want to play him, but he'd be a decent flex. I would look at him maybe similar to like Frank Gore-ish. So the Jets are playing...
Frank Gore's backup is not playing this week.
Oh, he's not? Yeah, but they're playing Miami. So... which has been one of the best defenses these last couple weeks. So I don't want to play Peterson. I probably wouldn't even flex him. I'd probably grab a receiver and try to hit it big with someone with a high ceiling.
Okay. I think that Adrian Peterson, I would not play him. I don't think I would play him in either circumstance. Just to clarify, you would not play Adrian Peterson if DeAndre Swift were playing. So, yeah, I wouldn't as well. I don't think I would play him, and I might flex him in a if Swift does not play, but I think Peterson's time has kind of passed. I think early on this year he had a couple solid weeks, nothing to brag about, but I think he had some special weeks, and I think that was mainly because he was a veteran running back, and they kind of wanted him to kind of tutor their first round draft pick. And now I think it's Swift's chance to kind of take over. So I think Peterson is. I think his course with the Lions is kind of. I think it's kind of over. So
yeah,
he could maybe fill in though. Final for the Lions, Matt Stafford, who was a limited participant. Would you play him in any kind of fantasy format?
I mean, didn't turn the ball over last week. But I would probably not play him. Even though that it's the Texans, there's better options out there. Derek Carr is on the waiver wire. About Kirk Cousins, maybe. I don't know who they're playing, though.
Right. The Vikings, they are playing the Panthers.
Oh. Yeah, I'd take Derek Carr over Matt Stafford.
Okay. Okay, we'll flip it over to the Texans side. Duke Johnson. So David Johnson most likely not playing.
Mm-hmm.
So is Duke Johnson a good fantasy play this week?
Yeah, but he's not gonna hit it out of the park, in my opinion.
So you're saying probably like 10, 11 points in PPR format?
I would expect 10 to 15 out of him. So it's a good matchup for him. But Deshaun Watson's been throwing in a lot more. He doesn't really check it down too much.
Okay. I would say 12.5 in PPR is probably my prediction for him. So Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks. I might play him. Cobb's out, and they all kind of got the ball last week, so you might see a tiny uptick in catches. Kiki QT is also on the radar as maybe being a potential flex option. So.
Okay. I don't know. That's a tough one. Brandon Cooks has been very inconsistent this season. He has had a good stretch of games, but I think I'd see him as a flex play.
So Brandon Cooks on the year has the exact same receptions as Will Fuller, 70 less yards and 3 less TDs, but he seems to get the same utilization. So his last couple weeks, 83 yards and a TD, 39, no TD, 85, no TD.
So how are the Lions against opposing fantasy receivers?
I don't know how their secondary is, but their defense as a whole isn't that good.
So probably a good matchup. Yeah, I don't have that one off the cuff. Jordan Atkins, Texans tight end.
I don't want to play him.
You want to play him? Would you play Darren Phillips over him?
I don't want to play either tight end on the Texans.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't want either of them. I think there are better options out there. Taysom Hill, for instance. Just kidding. Taysom Hill has lost his tight end eligibility. Little news for you there on the ESPN platform.
Caleb, move him out of your tight end slot already.
Yeah, I don't know. If he's already there and Caleb doesn't want to make any roster changes, he might.
He's gonna have to edit his roster eventually.
Will he though?
Yeah, Joe Mixon's on IR, and he'll come back, so he'll want to put him in instead of Giovanni Bernard.
All right, well, Caleb, it sounds like your days are limited. So that's all I got for the fantasy window. Do you have anything else you want to add to this game?
Nope.
All right, we moved right past the boring one. All right, so 3:30 on Thanksgiving, the 3-7 Washington football team and the 3-7 Dallas Cowboys are facing off. This is a home game for the Cowboys. You got Alex Smith in this game. You got Andy Dalton in this game. Two technically backup quarterbacks, but they have both started a number of years.
Yeah.
So you got any news headlines, or you want to just jump right to the prediction?
No, nothing going on with this game.
Really? So it's a tricky one. Whoever wins this game could have a shot at the NFC East, but to be fair, every team in the NFC East has a shot at the NFC East. So, take that however you want to take it. I will say the Cowboys last week against Minnesota had a very impressive win, in my opinion. Well, I mean, considering that they have been notoriously bad this year, and their defense has been historically bad. So,
Andy Dalton did great.
Andy Dalton, CeeDee Lamb stepped it up. Amari Cooper played well on the road, which is something that he hasn't done well in recent years. But yeah, very solid. What do you got for a score prediction for this one?
So the Washington football team has a solid defense, and I've been going back and forth on who to give the victory to and the score. So I think it's going to be a close game. I want to say it's going to be 21-24. And I'm going to pick the Cowboys.
Okay. So I originally wanted to take the Cowboys, but I also want to differ from Ryan. So I'm going to say 17-10 Washington football team.
Oh, so you don't think it's going to be that high scoring of a game?
I do not. Dallas's defense had a good week last week, but I still don't trust them, and no one should.
I mean, they're still...
They are not fantasy relevant by any stretch of the imagination.
It might be the worst defense in the league, so...
Well, they might be the worst defense in league history since, 1960.
Well, I mean, that's going a little far, but...
They were on pace to be the worst since 1960.
Hey, don't bad talk them too much. That's America's team.
That's Brock's team.
That is Brock's team.
Shout out to Brock if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Your team sucks.
Oh.
All right.
So anyway,
let's take a look through the fantasy window.
Fantasy window.
All right, we're in the fantasy window. Let's take a look at J.D. McKissick. In PPR leagues, he's been great. Alex Smith targets him 12 times a game.
Nice.
Had a kind of a disappointing week this last week. So would you play him against Dallas's stellar defense?
yes, I would definitely play McKissick. You might even talk about playing him in that second running back slot, in PPR, just because he is the second receiver on Dallas right now in terms of targets and yards. I mean, yards isn't so impressive, 217 passing yards on the season, but he gets targeted a lot.
See, in my secondary league, I have J.D. McKissick, and I am playing him as my RB2, but that is mainly because I own McCaffrey in 2 different leagues. Yay!
Correction, actually, 317 yards for passing. Sorry, he has 217 rushing yards.
Yeah, he's solid. I would like to point out that we do have Antonio Gibson listed as a must start right now.
Oh yeah.
So
He's been lighting it up these past couple weeks.
So yes, just to clarify that. Cam Sims. Is he fantasy relevant?
Nope.
Not gonna play him.
Neither of the Sims.
Neither of the Sims. Wait, who's the other Sim?
Steven Sims Jr.
I don't even know who that is.
He got a TD last couple weeks. So.
Okay. So Scary Terry is your must start for Washington's receiving core. Okay. Alex Smith against Dallas's defense. Old check down Smith.
I have him starting right now. Thinking about picking up Derek Carr instead, but
I would say Derek Carr is a safer play. Derek Carr's been performing well in the recent weeks. He went toe to toe with Mahomes this last week.
If they get up a couple scores on Atlanta, then it's just going to be Josh Jacobs running the ball. So
it's a good week to be a Josh Jacobs owner.
Yeah. Alex Smith, I temper expectations. So 12 to 15 points is where I'd put him.
What if you were in a 6-point passing touchdown league?
Well, add 4 to that.
So you got him throwing 2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, not much for the fantasy window for either of these teams. We'll flip it over to the Cowboys. We have CeeDee Lamb, who I would definitely start. I would start him as a wide receiver 2 at the best.
I'm a little on edge about that. I would do him as my flex option.
Okay. He's coming off a touchdown week where he had a tremendous catch in the end zone. I wouldn't say it was as good as Thielen's in that same game, but it was very solid. Is CeeDee Lamb the best rookie receiver in this draft class?
Oh, I mean, Justin Jefferson has been...
Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, Darnell Mooney, Laviska Shenault, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy.
You could definitely make the case for him.
What a draft class.
There's a lot of good receivers out there this year.
So, how about if Dak Prescott wouldn't have gotten injured?
Oh, I mean, if he wouldn't have gotten... I mean, maybe the Cowboys wouldn't be... what are they? 3-7?
3-7.
Maybe they would actually have a even record or maybe even a winning record, but...
Maybe. I would like to point out that Ayuk is I mean, he's playing with Nick Mullins right now, and
I would play Ayuk over CeeDee Lamb.
yeah, really, there's not that many of the rookie receivers that have stellar quarterbacks, which is kind of funny because I'm losing my train of thought. No, none of them really have good quarterbacks, though. You've got whatever's going on in Jacksonville for Laviska Shenault. You've got Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky for Darnell Mooney. Nick Mullins and Garoppolo for Ayuk. It's
Drew Lock for Jared Judy.
yeah.
So
It's just not great quarterback play going on right now. So
only the Packers would have drafted a stud rookie wide receiver.
they got Jordan Love. They can't complain. Sorry, Brett.
It was a great receiver draft class. They could have used some help at receiver with Adams and Lazard both being injured.
Okay, we'll move on. Dalton Schultz. He's coming off a pretty solid week. Is Dalton Schultz is he a good play against Washington?
I would play him as a top 10 tight end this week.
Top 10.
Top 10, which
How does
say
Washington
much,
do
but-
against opposing fantasy tight ends?
I do not know.
So Dalton Schultz, he spent a little bit of time on my roster, but then I ended up dropping him. I ended up getting Hawkinson, but I think Schultz is still a weirdly good play. Less trustworthy without Dak Prescott, but he is there.
So Dalton Schultz is so they're playing Washington, who's 11th against tight ends.
Mid-range.
Meaning 11th meaning a good matchup. 32nd would be a bad matchup for tight ends. So
Correct. So yeah, I would play him, depending on who your tight end was, which across the league, tight ends are kind of having a rough outing this year, unless their name is Kelsey. So I think he's a solid play this week.
would you play Schultz or Hawkinson?
I would play Hawkinson.
Okay.
Hawkinson he was surprisingly good. I picked up Austin Hooper and Hawkinson at the same time, and then Hooper had appendicitis and got downgraded to out, so I quickly switched. Well, I picked up Hawkinson then, and then I switched him over, and Hawkinson ended up getting 16 points that week, so I then moved on to drop Austin Hooper.
Gotta chase the points.
I think it was a solid move so far. He has yet to have a really bad week for me. So Tony Pollard. Zeke is in play, but Pollard is he looks kind of like a good flex play, so I don't think I'd play him this week, but I would say that he might be a flex play for the next couple weeks.
If he gets a good run. So
Yeah.
he had 60 yards the last game. He had a 42-yard run. If you take
He's got
that
explosiveness.
off, yeah. He's. I don't know if I would have the confidence to flex him, but he has been. You could have flexed him these last couple games. So.
So I think Zeke is transitioning more towards being a straight downhill runner for the Cowboys, and I think Pollard is just kind of that, he's that elusive back now. He definitely looks more shifty running the football. But, yeah, I probably wouldn't play him in this matchup.
Okay.
All right, do you have anything else to add to this matchup?
Michael Gallup. I would probably not even look to play him.
I would not as well.
That's it for me.
All right, let's move on to the next and final matchup, and this is the good one. This is the one that you should make sure you tune in for once you're done with that 1 o'clock Thanksgiving dinner, because that's an appropriate time to eat dinner.
Ours is at 2:30, so yeah.
Now, you know, some people aren't some people aren't the Greiners.
I think it's 2:30. I gotta check with Mom.
Yeah. What's Mrs. Greiner making for Thanksgiving dinner?
Mama G, making the standard. Turkeys, parted potatoes, some pie for dessert.
You know, Arby's has deep fried turkey right now. I went there for lunch.
Pretty good.
I didn't have it. I got the chicken.
Why bring it up then?
I'm just saying. I saw a commercial. Deep fried turkey clubs.
Okay.
But it might be solid. All right. So Thursday night, 7:20 p.m. You got the 6-4 Ravens at the undefeated 10-0 Steelers. Man, I hope this is a good game. I really, really do. Like we said before, J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram tested positive for COVID. This is not a contact tracing. They did test positive. So if you want to go after Gus Edwards, Maybe. I wouldn't play him. Well, I mean, we'll get him to him, but Pittsburgh is number 1 against opposing fantasy running backs, or just running backs in general.
Through week 12 or through week 11, they are the best defense on the year. So
Right. And Gus Edwards, but since it is a positive COVID test, J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram might come back the next week. They might not come back the next week, so maybe Gus Edwards is a good play for you week 13 if you have a player who's on bye or injured. I would like to point out the Panthers and the Buccaneers are both on bye in week 13, so you should probably look ahead into that. And it's kind of odd having teams that are having a week 13 bye. That is not a normal thing, but it is happening. Okay, do you have any other news you want to get into, or you want to touch on J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram?
There are other players that could have COVID at the Ravens facility. So Dobbins and Ingram are the only players we know, but it was said on Pat McAfee that others in the building have COVID. So,
all right, we'll have to keep a close eye on that, especially if you are a fantasy player. You'll be sitting there at the table. Everyone's gonna be doing that cheesy little game where they talk about the stuff they're thankful for. You'll have to pull out your phone and just do a little check under the table. Make sure that none of your Ravens players are contaminated. And without further ado, let's take a look at our predictions. Ryan, you got a good score prediction?
Well, I'm just trying to think if this game is a trap game for the Steelers. Because, in all honesty, there's no way they lose this game.
Is this the game where Lamar gets his mojo back?
It could be. That's why, I mean, is it a trap game? No, I can't see the Steelers scoring less than 3 touchdowns.
But we are looking at, so I would like to point out before we get into the final prediction, both teams have pretty solid defenses, so is this potentially a low-scoring affair?
Yes, but more so for the Ravens.
Okay.
Because Lamar doesn't do well against good defenses.
He also does not do well playing behind.
Yeah.
I don't think he has a single comeback under his belt.
So I'm going to go pretty aggressive for this one. I'm going to go 28. No, we'll go 27. We'll go 27, 10. Steelers over the Ravens.
Okay. I think the Steelers are going to put up a decent amount too. I'm going to say 28.
Oh, one up in the IC.
28 17?
Whatever it is, you're going to hammer the under on the game.
28-17 Steelers. 28-17 or 28-14. It's a weird call. I think Lamar could get 2 touchdowns and then get a field goal on top of it. It's a tough defensive matchup though.
Over under is 44.5. So
I'm gonna go with 28-17.
Okay.
We'll go for it in favor of the Steelers.
So you're hammering the over on that then.
Yeah, but I will say I will not be shocked if the Steelers lose this game. The Steelers are 10-0, but they've had some easy matchups throughout the year. But they are still the best team in the NFL in my opinion. But I could see them losing this game. I could see Lamar somehow hopefully getting his mojo back and having a good 80 yards rushing and maybe a rushing touchdown on top of it. But really, he just needs to be a little more accurate with the ball, and hopefully he can get 200 yards passing, 300 yards passing. We'll see.
200 would be great.
The Steelers, they're good at getting after the QBs though, so it'll be a tough one. TJ Watt's coming after you.
TJ.
So all right, I think we're good to jump over to the fantasy window.
Fantasy window.
They're first in sacks and first in interceptions. So if you have the Steelers defense, I mean you're already playing them, but you might get a pick six, you might get a couple turnovers.
Gus Edwards, is he a must play?
Don't ask me about that.
Is he a play at all? Is he a flex play?
I don't want to make a call on that.
Is he an RB2 against the number 1 ranked defense against running backs?
I say you fire up Gus Edwards to play him as you would Frank Gore or even maybe Duke Johnson.
What about Wayne Gallman?
Well, Freeman might be back.
He's not back this week.
Is he not?
He is not. Wayne Gallman is a very silently good running back. He's been having a very good year, and no one talks about him.
Giants play the Bengals. Yeah, I would definitely play Gallman over
Edwards.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would pick up Gus Edwards, but I would not play him this week. I would pick him up in hopes that, not in hopes, because it's a horrible thing to wish that someone is sick longer than they could be. But I would pick him up, hoping that Dobbins and Ingram don't play Week 13 when McCaffrey, Mike Davis, and Ronald Jones all have their bye week, which is that those are my running backs on my team. So
would you play Gus Edwards?
I would not play him this week.
Or Chase Edmonds. Cardinals are playing the Patriots.
Kenyon Drake's back.
With Kenyon Drake back.
Edmonds, I guess. I don't trust Edwards against that number 1 ranked defense.
His ceiling his floor is just so low that it's hard to.
Well,
Edwards' ceiling, Gus Edwards' floor is low.
Right, but it's hard to say this because we say Gus Edwards like, oh, who else is there, and he's for sure going to be the number 1 guy. But we've been fooled before. I mean, look at the Chargers situation. Everyone is like Justin Jackson and Justin Jackson was the guy, but Josh Kelly. Everyone was like, oh, he's the guy now, and then it was like, nope, Kalen Ballage is the guy.
Uh-huh.
So Justice Hill is the other running back for the Ravens, and he may or may not be getting 50% of the snaps. No one knows. You probably look at Justice Hill the same way as Edwards in this matchup, maybe even less. So you're probably out on him this week.
Hill?
Yeah.
Not even looking at him.
Not even in conversation. I would not be shocked if he was out there like 40 or 50% of plays, though. Okay, Marquise Brown. He has been having a disappointing year. A lot of people are dropping him now. Is he a play against the Steelers?
I don't want to play him, but yes, I would say he would be a flex play.
What about a wide receiver 3, depending on your format?
Wide receiver 3, yeah, I'd play him there. So he's about the same as Mark Andrews right now. So Mark Andrews has been disappointing, but on the season they have about the same number of yards and about the same receptions. Mark Andrews has 4 more TDs, but
right. I would say Hollywood Brown is not. He's not the guy to have. On the Ravens, if I had a choice between Mark Andrews or Hollywood Brown, I would take Andrews. I think Andrews he's much better considering his position, where tight end is a little bit more closed off than receiver. Where I feel like receiver you have other options to pivot to.
Christian Kirk or Marquise Brown?
Probably Christian Kirk.
I don't have who they're playing right now. Oh wait, no, I just told you the Patriots. But
so in a PPR league, I would like to point out that Marquise Brown has hit double digits 3 times all year, and he has not missed a game.
Yeah, that's not good.
And he goosed against the Titans last week.
So yeah, you gonna bench him this week to punish him then?
I would consider dropping him at this point.
Make some aggressive moves.
I mean, there are a lot of people holding on to him in hopes that he'll live up to his name last year, but I think he's safe to drop at this point.
Drop him for a Renfro or an Aguilar or...
No, not that, but I would drop him for an Ayuk.
There's no way Ayuk's still on the waiver wire, though.
Probably not. I don't remember when I got Ayuk. It was a couple weeks ago.
Deebo Samuel?
I would take Deebo Samuel over Marquise Brown. Let me check. Our waiver wire in our league is Well, it's not great, but there's Michael Pittman there, Sammy Watkins, Tim Patrick is sitting there. I think Tim Patrick is a sneaky sleeper.
Tim Patrick's only there because I had to drop him because Chris Carson was out for another week. And Zeke on bye.
What a sad man. Tim Patrick is rostered in 22.5% of leagues.
I would hands down play Tim Patrick over Hollywood Brown. Not a hard choice.
I would too. Actually, he might be the player I'd be most optimistic about looking at this waiver wire, which consists of Aguilar and Hamler and Pittman at the top of the list.
I would look at Tim Patrick as the same way as CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
So,
I would like to clarify, I would definitely play CeeDee Lamb over Hollywood Brown.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Yes. But Tim Patrick, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's better and probably gets better passes from Dalton, but Patrick has more opportunity. So.
Okay. If you are out on Hollywood Brown this week, you're probably out on Willie Snead, but I'll go ahead and ask anyways. Willie Snead.
Sneaky play. Willie Snead has been kind of the grease at times for the Ravens offense. So
2 touchdowns against New England.
Yeah, it would definitely be a glory play if you played Willie Snead. So
Willie Snead is only rostered in 5.8% of leagues.
Yeah.
I would like of ESPN leagues. Hollywood Brown is rostered in 82% of ESPN leagues. But Willie Snead he's an interesting play.
I think he's done good every other week. So he did bad last week. He could be good this week.
Yeah, he's a tough call. I would say, you just got to stay away from the Ravens offense. Lamar Jackson I still consider a must start, but that's because who are you going to stream over Lamar Jackson? If you have Lamar Jackson, you probably placed a second-round pick. You probably played a second-round pick to pick him up. You can't just not play him,
So, actually, you can just not play him. And I did that the first time the Ravens played the Steelers.
How'd that work out?
Not as good as I wanted it. He only got 14 points against them, but I played someone that got 8 points. So,
for context, Ryan played Mr. Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
What a year Wentz is having. Just all over the place. All right. Anyone else on the Ravens sideline that you want to talk about? Are they even noteworthy against the Steelers?
Harbaugh?
We'll talk about Harbaugh. Are you willing to play Harbaugh against the...
Didn't him and Vrabel get into it?
They did.
Last game?
It was pretty hilarious to watch. Good stuff.
Next year when we do head coaches,
We're not doing head coaches.
Fine, we'll do punters.
We're not doing punters. We are doing independent defensive players.
We are not doing.
It's gonna be awesome.
We are not doing an IDP league.
Darius Leonard, first overall pick.
Anywho.
All right, we'll flip it over to the Steelers. Juju Smith-Schuster, willing to play him against the Ravens.
Yep.
I would play him too. He had a slow start, but really I think it's Deontay Johnson and Mapletron stepping it up to the point where Juju doesn't have to be that number one wideout anymore. He can go back to playing in the slot like he did back when Antonio Brown was there, and he thrives in that position. So I would continue to play him this year. Eric Ebron, would you play him?
He's gotten TDs in 3 of his last 4 games.
Solid play.
I would also put him as a top 10 option.
Really?
For tight end.
I'm curious for top 10 tight end list. When's that coming out?
We can do it now if you want, but there's not a lot of tight ends I'd play over him.
Would you play? We'll go to the other Steelers tight end, Vance McDonald.
No.
You want to play him? Okay. I think Eric Ebron is definitely the passing tight end, so I think he's a safe play this week. Ravens isn't a super easy matchup, but like we've said earlier, tight ends are kind of hard to come by this year. For reference, I drafted Zach Ertz. Okay, final player that I have in my fantasy window is Ben Roethlisberger versus the Ravens defense.
Old Big Ben. I feel you have to play him. I mean, they got one of the best offenses in football.
You have to play him.
Play him or Derek Carr. I would play Big Ben, even though Derek Carr has a good matchup. So I would play him over anyone you could find on the wire, and even some QBs.
Teddy Bridgewater?
Yeah, I'd play him over Bridgewater. Back from
Danny Dimes?
Oh, I'm not a fan of Danny Dimes. They are playing the Bengals, but I don't know.
What about 4 interceptions, Jake Luton?
No.
I would like to point out the Steelers' defense got 4 interceptions last week when they played Jake Luton and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they are tough.
He hasn't started that many games. So.
All right. We'll go ahead and you got anything else to add to this game? We did a score prediction, right?
Yeah, I
right.
did 27-10 and you did 28-14, I believe. Or
Yeah,
17.
Yeah, I did. It was either 17 or 14.
So
I think I ended up on 17.
You hammered the over and I hammered the under.
We'll see who wins. Okay, anything else on this game or any of the Thanksgiving games or maybe anything coming up in the next week?
Should we update everyone on the results of last Thursday's game so everybody knows?
That podcast isn't out yet, and it might not be out yet by the time this one goes live.
Fair point.
We will provide some context. Ryan picked the Cardinals to win, and Scott picked the Seahawks to win, and Ryan was embarrassingly wrong.
So they have to know what actually happened. Luke and Scott picked the Cardinals to win.
I did not pick the Cardinals.
And I was the only one to pick the Seahawks. Oh, you definitely picked the Cardinals. Luke is going to go back and listen to it, and you're all going to...
I believe my exact words were, I take whoever Ryan didn't take.
Which, either way, it's the Cardinals. Either way, you were wrong.
And it was a risky gamble.
So Ryan is doing all right on his predictions right now when the chips are down.
Nice.
All right. So yeah, that's going to pretty much do it for this episode Between the Cushions. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your Thanksgiving and watch some football.
See you guys.
See you later.